had this talk all the time at Aaron's that we want that are partners and not just vendors. Tier 4 has established that they are a partner of ours. It's been fantastic.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Download Podcast here from Tier 4 Advisors HQ in Alpharetta, Georgia. We are super excited to be joined by Tommy Meek, the CIO of Aaron's. Tommy, longtime friend of ours. Thanks for coming in.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And our VP of Marketing, Joel Andersen, from not San Francisco, but out on PTO in the Rocky Mountain region. Joel, say hi to the group.
Hello. I threw you off there a little bit. It looks like I'm in San Fran, but really I'm out in the mountains.
All right, good stuff. Well, hopefully you're having a good trip, and we're excited about the conversation today. So I'm Jake Sherrill, the founder and chairman of Tier 4 Advisors, also a partner in Tier 4 Group. The purpose of the Download Podcast, for those of you who have tuned in the past, you probably already know, but it's an environment where we get together with thought leaders in the IT space, in this case, Tommy, a CIO of a Fortune 500 company at Aaron's. And we talk about technology, we talk about trends, we talk about the marketplace, we talk about leadership and a lot of other things. So again, thanks for tuning in and looking forward to the conversation. Joel, you want to introduce yourself to the group?
Of course. As a VP of Marketing, love to be able to host wonderful guests like Tommy and other IT leaders. Stay tuned. We have a bunch of VIP events coming up, which we'll talk about here momentarily towards the end. But glad to be a part of Tier 4. Love what we're doing.
And that is Joel's real hair, by the way. It's not a fake backdrop. That is impressive. Wow. A lot of folks that are watching this are jealous, I'll tell you what. Good stuff. Hey, Tommy, introduce yourself to the group.
Sure. So Tommy Meek, CIO at Aaron's. I've been at Aaron's for about 7.5 years now, and originally came on leading the infrastructure team and then grew my responsibility moving into the CIO role last May. It's been a lot of fun, a lot of good challenges, and looking forward to continuing to work with the team going forward.
That's great. How many people on your team?
There's roughly 150.
Yeah. So. Mainly domestic, anything international?
No, they're all here in the U.S., and it's been interesting over the past 12 months. We've been growing our team outside of Metro Atlanta, just with the remote work capabilities now. We've been, I'd say the last 10 to 12 hires have been outside of Metro Atlanta.
Okay. And is that something that you guys had done prior to COVID at all, or was it all people that were just located here in Metro Atlanta?
Primarily, it was just mostly focused on Metro Atlanta, but I wouldn't say that we didn't do it before, but it's just a lot easier now to do that.
And more maybe accepted within the culture of the company. And
absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, have you found that to be a good thing, by the way? Because you can pull talent in from where Joel is, Idaho or Wyoming or, Philadelphia or California even?
I think it's good for Aaron's. I think it's good for the, for the new team members coming on board too, right? So they can work wherever they want. They don't have to necessarily be tied down to a specific desk, 5 days a week. They can work in Idaho. They can work in Florida or wherever. So.
We had one of your CIO peers in here a couple weeks ago, Jason James, who's a CIO for a healthcare company here in Atlanta, and he was, adamant about, and I firmly agree with this, but work is not a thing that you go to; it is a thing that you do, right? And regardless if you're sitting at a desk in a HQ somewhere, or in a travel trailer like Joel likes to talk about sometimes on the podcast, work again is something that you do. We're all adults; we understand what work is, right?
That's right. I think the way we work has definitely changed over the past 15 months. I'll never forget that March the 13th, walking into a conversation with our now CEO, our former CFO, and our HR leader saying that we are not a remote work company. We can't do this. And then little did we know, 48 hours later, we were going to be doing it for 100% of the time for over a year.
Whether you like it or not at the time, it was something everyone was forced to.
That's right.
Yeah, wild. Joel, you've been able to take a little bit of advantage of that as well, right? Working remotely, and it's not something where you go; it's something that you do, right?
Indeed, I'm grateful for the chance to be able to do that now. I mean, with the rise of internet connectivity and maybe spots where it wasn't before, or with 5G, which is currently what I'm on right now. Hopefully, I look good. It makes working anywhere you want doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, my name is Jake Sherrill. I'm the founder and chairman of Tier 4. Tier 4 was founded on the premise of helping you simplify and expedite your projects and make sure that you do the projects correctly the first time. So you have two choices when you buy services in this IT universe. You can jump on Google or call Gartner or pull in a professional services organization or call direct, 1-800-vendor, whatever that vendor might be, and deal with that back and forth all on your own, tracking down 5 or 8 different vendors for 5 or 8 different quotes all on your own. Or you can call a partner like Tier 4 Advisors, and we help you simplify and expedite those projects. We also have all the notes and all the quotes from all the projects that we've done over the last 9 years, actually, hard to believe, as well as a Net Promoter Score. Have you heard of a Net Promoter Score by chance? Yeah. So we've been doing this since 2015, and we have a Net Promoter Score of 97, which just speaks volumes about the people that we have here on the team and the service that we provide. So that's who we are here at Tier 4. If you or anyone you know needs a project or has different needs in data center or telecom, managed services, or security, you can find us at tier4advisors.com. All right, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into getting to know Tommy a little bit. Tell us about your first job, Tommy. Was it Taco Bell? Were you a valet guy at a steakhouse? What was your first job?
No, nothing like that. I was part of a landscape crew at a carpet manufacturer in North Georgia.
All right.
So just went around to the different carpet plants and making sure the grounds were maintained and that grass is cut. And that's where my love of grass and lawns came from.
Did you grow up in North Georgia?
I grew up in Metro Atlanta.
Okay. So you were up there for school or for some other reasons?
It wasn't that far north. It was
not that far.
I was able to commute. So
Gotcha. Okay, good stuff. Some of those plants are massive, by the way, right? I mean, we're talking, 50, 100 acres, and the facilities themselves are, hundreds of thousands, maybe million square feet?
Right. Yeah, a lot of grass to cut.
A lot of grass. Okay. All right. So how did you go from the illustrious position of managing the landscaping crew for a flooring manufacturer with a lot of grass to cut to getting into IT?
So in college, there's several things. I changed my path several times. Originally, I completely planned on being in the sports industry. But just due to several things, I just decided that the IT industry or computer science was my degree, was probably the best thing for my future and my eventual family's future. So at Auburn, I graduated from Auburn University, and during my time there, I decided to go that direction, and it's played out well.
Played out well. So what were you going to do in the sports industry? I'm just curious.
You name it. I love sports, big sports guy. So I wanted to.
Are you going to be like a sports agent, like Jerry Maguire? Or?
I was trying to figure that out along the way.
Okay.
But I didn't get too far.
Yeah, good stuff. So what do you enjoy most about the IT field? Obviously, there's a lot of changes, a lot of challenges, especially in leadership as a CIO. But what do you enjoy most about it?
I think the thing I like most about the IT field is it never changes. The people are great. I love working with the team, specifically the team I have at Aaron's is one of the best around. While it's not exactly the sports industry, it's similar in the sense that we're a team. We're trying to accomplish. We're trying to win, and working together to make that happen is a lot of fun in my opinion.
Yeah. So how long have you been in IT?
20 plus years now.
Okay.
Long time.
Yeah. And was being a CIO or CTO always the goal and the plan, or was this something that you kind of evolved into over the last 5-8 years?
I knew that I wanted to be in leadership from day one. It's just a matter of which path I took and how I'd get there. But I knew when I joined Aaron's that the CIO role was something that I was extremely interested in. And my previous boss, John Trainer, he was a previous CIO. He was great and helped me along the way quite a bit.
John's a friend of Tier 4 as well. He's been in the tech scene in Atlanta for quite some time. Obviously moved on to something different, which freed up the spot for you. As you talk about your greatest professional accomplishment, moving up through the ranks, becoming a CIO, what would you say your best accomplishment to this point in your career has been?
I think the biggest accomplishment is just getting I know this is kind of vague, but all of the experience that I've had over the past 20 years to get to where I am today. That's from working at larger companies like HP or IBM to smaller companies, and both on the vendor side as well as the customer side. So just having that all-around, well-rounded experience is something that I'm extremely proud of.
What would you, maybe want to share about a challenge that you faced that you overcame in your career and maybe learned from, or it made you a better person from it?
Yeah, I'd have to say, like many of us, when the pandemic hit last year, we all faced challenges. And to a certain degree still face those today. But having to move into a new role with different expectations, a new boss, in some cases, new team members, trying to keep the business afloat, trying to to make sure that we had our showroom floors went through a period of time where they were closing and they were reopening, and just kind of juggling all that. I'd always heard that the first year of a CIO role was the toughest, but I don't think they said that when during the middle of the pandemic.
During the pandemic,
yeah, with working remotely and moving into that new role, and so it's been very challenging, but it's been very rewarding, and like I said, the team's just been great.
Good stuff. You've attended a few Tier 4 VIP events, I think. What was your favorite one you would say that you attended?
I think the favorite one was a couple of years ago when we were out at Truist Park with in the Home Depot section.
Oh yeah.
There. Yeah. That was a really good time. My son still talks about that that game. So it was a lot of fun.
Did your son get any autographs that game?
I don't know if he got any autographs that game. But
couple balls.
He ate a lot of food.
Ate a lot of food.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had a couple picture texts from different people that have actually gone to the Home Depot suite with other people or vendors or whoever it is. Hey, you remember hanging the K's for the strikeouts or whatever? Yeah, that's a good time. Good stuff. All right, we're going to transition into something we do every time we do a download podcast and talk about the best thing we saw all week. This could be a personal thing. This could be something you saw in the news, whatever it might be. But Joel, let's go ahead and start with you. The best thing you saw all week.
So I'm a fan of yachts, the boating industry, and I saw a headline that Jeff Bezos, congratulations to him as he's now transitioning away from Amazon, no longer the CEO, moving on to bigger and better things. He just recently purchased a $500 million super yacht. It's 417 feet long. Okay, so it's in the process of being built. It's not ready yet, but they have folks that have speculated what it's going to look like and things like that, and the design. But imagine an entire football field, and then add another 117 feet on top of that, and that's basically going to be his new super yacht. Who knows when it'll be officially ready? But I saw the headline. I was like, you know what? Good for him. Worked hard. I think it was 24, 27 years at Amazon, whatever it was. Time to cash in and enjoy. But to be honest, I don't know how much he's actually going to be using it. He's a busy guy. He's always doing 8 other things. His what is it, Blue Origin, space company. We'll see how much he actually gets to enjoy his big beautiful yacht that he purchased. But that was one of the best things that I saw all week. So good for him.
All right, good stuff. It'd be a lot of fun to be really, really wealthy. The thing that I would really not like though is being the guy that's like, everyone around the world is talking about my yacht that I just bought, or whatever. I kind of being under the radar. I think is it's the old. Would you rather be rich or famous? Definitely not famous. But if you're both, it's probably even worse. Anyways, just my take on that. Tommy, best thing you saw all week?
I think the best thing for me has to be my wife's parents came into town. So the first time in over a year and a half that they've seen the grandkids, they've seen each other. So it's pretty special to see my kids' reaction when they saw their grandparents.
Just hug grandpa and grandma again, and
it's great.
Where do they live?
They live out in Boston for now. They're on their way to Denver.
Is that right?
They are.
Okay. So being able to get back down into Atlanta and see the grandkids, that'll pull the heartstrings for sure, right? Yeah, we've had a few of those reunions. Seen a lot of those online as well, or even folks that are waving to family members through windows or whatever. Golly, who would have thought a year and a half ago or 16 months ago? But those reunions are special for sure. Best thing I saw all week. I'll tell you what. I was sitting at a stoplight at a tournament that I was at, and one of the cars broke down over on the side, and it was interesting to see. We were able to help out a little bit, but just kind of restoring my thought in humanity. A couple people jump out of their car to go help this lady who was a little bit less fortunate than a lot of us, to push her car out of the intersection of a very busy section of Mississippi. I was able to be at for a youth baseball tournament. Anyways, just one of those random things that you see, that you're kind of like, that was cool. A lot of those people could have easily just stayed in their car and drove around this lady, and she would have been stranded in the middle of this intersection. But, not to sound ridiculous here or pull the heartstrings even more, but seeing a couple people from different walks of life come together for another person from a completely different walk of life to help her out and keep things moving. That was the best thing I saw all week, got to be honest. So pretty cool. Wouldn't recommend it, by the way, on a busy road where people are driving fast. I mean, it's a dangerous situation, right? But you leave a lady like that in the intersection for long, that's a very dangerous situation for her and other people as well. So anyways, best thing I saw all week, pretty good. Joel, going to come to you for some personal experience with Tommy working with Tier 4.
Tom, I'd like to kind of get your experience overall of your interaction with Tier 4 and some of the projects you've been able to work on with you over the past years. So, but do you remember how you first came in contact with Tier 4? Was it a Tier 4 VIP event? Was it a team member that just kind of reached out, introduced themselves? How did you first get in contact with Tier 4?
I think it was at a previous job. This is 8 or 9 years ago. One of our vendors that we dealt with introduced Jake to us, and I've been talking with Jake ever since. He's been a great partner along the way, and I don't remember specifically the vendor that introduced, but like I said, Jake and Tier 4 been great.
So do you remember what it was about the Tier 4 offering that made you want to choose to trust Tier 4 with a couple projects?
Yeah, I think what's different, we had this talk all the time at Aaron's that are partners and not just vendors. And Tier 4 has established that they are a partner of ours, and their willingness to listen and understand our needs and then come up with a solution and along the way has been fantastic.
That's well said. I like that. Do you remember what that first project was that we worked on?
I think the biggest one was our data center migration at Aaron's. This was years ago now, but we had a need where we were looking to move in a purpose-built data center and offload some of those responsibilities to somebody that does that on a day-to-day basis. At the time, Jake pitched a solution to us, and the timing just wasn't right. We weren't ready to listen, I think it was 9 months to a year later, we called Jake back up and said, "All right, you remember that conversation we had back then? Let's revisit that and see if it makes sense now." And sure enough, it did, and now we're in 2 other facilities.
Awesome. In addition to that, do you know what some of those results were that came from Tier 4 getting involved, helping with that project, things that we're able to accomplish for you that maybe you and your team, were just either too slim to do on your own? Or
Yeah, I think, again, the facilities management piece of a data center and everything that comes along with it was just something that we're not focused on. I mean, we've got a lean team, and in some areas we have gaps in skill sets or knowledge, and not having to worry about that on a day-to-day basis is super important to us. And those folks are able to focus on more important things for the business and let us continue to innovate.
As you've seen this transition go from, basically hosting workloads for corporate needs in, an office building that quite literally is, a few hundred feet away from maybe where your CFO sits, or, right next door in a computer closet to where you sit or what have you, to where things have transitioned into a public hyperscaler or a dedicated private cloud with some of these vendors. What are your thoughts as just kind of the transition, and has it been a surprise to you, or did you see this coming? And where do you see it going from here?
Yeah, I don't think it's really been a surprise. I think naturally evolves into what makes sense for each business. But I think for us, the hybrid is the way that we'll be. I think over time we'll continue to move more and more to the public cloud. But I don't think that's anything
proprietary. Yeah.
I think over time we'll continue to look for ways to, there's no doubt in my mind that we'll continue to be lean as a team, and we'll look for ways to make it easier to support. And, both from an updating a legacy, platform to security or updates and that sort of thing. So.
Right. I was speaking at a conference pre-COVID, and we were talking, and not much in this strategy has changed since COVID. But, a lot of organizations decided probably a couple of years ago and continue to roll this way where, as much SaaS, software as a service, as they can consume, that's kind of their first default. So it's SaaS first, right? Then it's cloud second, in the sense of if, in fact, you can't do SaaS, if that particular workload is something that you still need to have hosted or on some sort of metal that you manage or own. So it's some sort of, cloud, and then it's that kind of on-prem or colo third, if you will. Is that kind of the same mentality that you guys have at Aaron's?
That's absolutely the same mentality we have, and it's funny if we had this conversation 3 or 4 years ago, I think there's a lot of resistance and pushback from the team, but I think we've gotten over that now, and I think people, engineers on the team, they understand and they see the value and the benefit for a SaaS solution or putting it in the public cloud.
Right. And, it's interesting for a lot of our viewers and listeners, when you talk about, what makes sense in a SaaS environment, and is it secure, is it compliant, a lot of these things, a lot of that stuff is going to fall on that vendor to make sure that they are secure and they are compliant, depending on if you're a healthcare organization or a financial institution or what have you. With regards to managing that workload on a private cloud or a public cloud, some of that stuff could obviously fall on your shoulders as the IT end user or leadership within the organization. And then obviously owning your own metal, whether that's on-prem or in a colo, obviously all that stuff falls on your shoulders. As you think about security compliance, a lot of the ransomware and all the things that are in the news, every single day it seems like, what are your thoughts on how we could fix this? I mean, is it, outlawing paying a ransom? Is that the way we fix this? Or does the federal government need to get involved with some sort of, big brother oversight or security stuff for all of us here in America? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Gosh, I think my thoughts are, if I had the answer to that, I might be building that same yacht
The same yacht
Joel mentioned earlier. So
the Bezos version 2.0, the Tommy
right.
Meek yacht.
No,
that's a good point.
But it is certainly something that is top of mind, and definitely a concern moving forward. I do think that over time things will evolve to the point where this is just expected, and everybody. I do think there's some companies that are probably behind the curve, on the protection, and just the continued investment in security going forward. I think you're going to see an increase.
Well, I can assure you there are a lot of companies that are behind the curve, unfortunately, because we see a lot of different things. I'll leave it at that for now. It's shocking. In fact, it's scary. It's maybe sad is another term that I would use, to see kind of where some companies are from not only innovation but just overall strategy, security, protection. The whole bit. I think everyone's got good intentions, but as they say about the road to hell is paved with, and that's kind of the issue with a lot of this stuff is a lot of work to be done out there for sure. My hypothesis, and again I've shared this on some prior download podcasts, but my hypothesis is that something bigger needs to happen from a probably government oversight perspective. Not necessarily checking boxes and answering surveys, but something needs to roll out where there's probably some sort of, firmware, software, protection method, something that is bigger and more expensive and stronger than anything that any organization could come up with on their own is probably where I see that thing going. As we talk about software development and code being written by humans and eventually code being written by, code, where do you see this whole thing going with, kind of computers running the world and writing their own code and stuff like that? Do you have any thoughts or opinions about that?
Yeah, for us, the partnerships we have with the rest of the business, if we can put some capabilities in their hands to do their own coding or develop their own solutions, I think the better off. It's the whole shift left, right? So shift left, comma. Right?
Yeah.
So we look for ways to utilize technologies that way, and we will going forward.
Right. How has the retail industry for what you guys do changed over the last 5 years with the likes of Amazon and other companies? Has it gotten stronger because you guys play in that niche that you play in, or has it gotten weaker as a whole?
The competition for us has definitely gotten stronger. There are more lease-to-own providers. There are more ways to consume the products that we sell. So our customer base, or the customer base as a whole, has gotten younger. They want to shop online, and that's been, expedited through the past 15 months. So we've had to adjust as a company to keep up with that and continue to innovate and from a technology perspective, really truly transform more into a technology company versus a traditional old-fashioned brick and mortar retailer.
And it's been well, publicized online and in the news and things where Aaron's, I guess, split into two different companies. You want to speak a little bit about that? Like what took place there as a leadership team, and where do you see that going?
Sure. So I guess we split from Progressive Leasing last November. So we acquired them 6 years ago or so. They're a company based out of Utah, and they were doing extremely well. They were growing as a virtual leasing option, and the decision was made early last year that we would split and go our own separate ways and really be able to focus on the two different businesses. So it's been really good for us. There's been a lot of good opportunities, and the opportunity to work on that split last year was really good, and we look forward to growing the Aaron's business going forward.
And again, we're going to continue to ad lib here. This is something we should ask probably every single week as we have leaders come in here. But talk a little bit about your needs in hiring right now. What are you guys hiring for? I'm assuming you're hiring. Is that a fair assessment? Sure. Okay. What are you looking to hire for? For those maybe listening, they might be peers of yours. They might be junior techs. They might be people getting into the industry. Who are you looking to hire right now?
Yeah, we're looking for. I think the few roles that we have open are on the development side of the house. We've got a product management role, and we've got some infrastructure needs. So again, we're 100% remote as a technology organization, so you don't have to be tied down to Atlanta, and we're just overall looking for somebody that's hungry and willing to learn and jump in and get things done.
All right. So if you or anyone you know is looking for the next opportunity, take a look at Aaron's. You can find Tommy Meek on LinkedIn or some other folks probably that you would prefer that they reach out to. Any
jobs.aarons.com is probably the best way to find the roles. But
jobs at Aaron's?
Jobs.aarons.com.
Jobs.aarons.com. Take a look. With that said, we end every download podcast with spinning the wheel. So you are our guest of honor. You're next to our Price is Right big wheel that we spin. If you'd like to spin that, we're going to let fate determine what question we're going to ask.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Number 13. All right. When do you find yourself being the most productive? I'm going to let you think about that for a second. Joel, when do you find yourself being the most productive? I'm intrigued. I'm interested to hear the answer to this for Joel, because I get emails all hours of the night and all days of the week. He also likes to travel quite a bit. But Joel, when do you find yourself being the most productive?
It's always that last hour and a half to 2 hours of any given day. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's like a time crunch where I realize that, all right, the day's kind of wrapping up. Like I need to go to bed soon. That my brain just is firing on all cylinders. The synapses are faster. I'm able to type. I don't know what it is. So that last hour and a half to 2 hours of a day is when I can probably do 6 hours worth of work. And I wish it wasn't that way, because I'd like to go to bed sooner. I'd like to maybe have it be in the morning or during the day. But for some reason, with kids, with work, with everything else, we're kind of jumbling. That last hour and a half of the day is when I'm the most productive.
All right. That's fair. Tommy?
Mine has to be the exact opposite. First thing in the morning, I'm an early bird. I always have been. And I enjoy getting up early and getting at it. So all the best decisions are made at that time. No good decisions for me are made late at night. I'll be asleep before any good decisions are made.
Fair. Do you want to share what time you go to bed, what time you wake up?
Yeah, usually, 10 o'clock is pretty late for me.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere in the 9:30 to 10 range, I'm knocked out at that point. So, and I'll get up 6 a.m. in the morning.
6 or so?
Yeah.
There you go. And I know you like
I picked up some bad habits during COVID. During COVID, I'm staying up till 1:30, 2 o'clock every night, and I need to change that. I need to change that. So any advice that you can give me or any of our listeners as well for how to be able to go to bed earlier and wake up earlier, I'm all ears. I'm sure some other people would benefit from that too.
Any thoughts?
Oh, I think it's just a habit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I stayed up until 1:30 in the morning, probably 4 or 5 days in a row, I'd probably fall into that routine.
Right. I think you're right. I think that, COVID is certainly something to blame, but you guys both really like working out, as do I. I've seen, CrossFit competitions. Joel, you're doing triathlons here and there. So it's not a matter of, I think, lack of productivity. I think it's just people that all sleep matters, whether you're going to sleep from 1:30 to 8:30 or going to sleep at, maybe 10 to 6, as long as you're getting what your body needs and staying productive, right? I'm going to flip the switch here a little bit rather than a time, but when I find myself being the most productive, guys, is in probably the more high stress situations. That might sound corny or weird to some people, but I usually find that I'm on my P's and Q's when the stress level is up. Stakes are high, right? And I'm thankful that I'm able to execute in those situations. But for me, when I'm working with a client, I'm the most productive when the stakes are high, or when I'm coaching my teams, as I've shared quite a bit on these podcasts. When the stakes are high, I'm probably a better coach than in some just random pool play game or scrimmage, if I'm being honest. Same as an athlete myself. I always found myself producing better as a team member or individual contributor when the stakes were higher, rather than maybe when you're just playing around. Anyways, thought I'd throw a little curveball in there for you. So, anyways, this was a wonderful conversation, Tommy. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for
Joel, enjoy your trip out in San Francisco. Just kidding, in the Rocky Mountains. We will see you. We'll see you back here in Alpharetta one of these days. Until then, enjoy your remote working capabilities. If you or anyone you know has a data center, cloud, DR, telecom, telephony, SD-WAN, managed services, security, compliant project, whatever it might be, if you guys have projects or anyone you know might have projects in those categories, again, Tier 4 is not a vendor. We are the anti-vendor, if you will. We're here to help you any way we possibly can. You can find us at tier4advisors.com or reach out to one of our 20-plus regional presidents around the country as they can help you as well. Hope you are all doing well, staying safe, staying healthy. Olympics are right around the corner. I don't know if you're excited about that as I am. Really wanted to actually go to that, but with the whole COVID and everything, I'm not doing that. But I'll just put a plug in there. If you ever get a chance to travel to Japan, it's amazing. The culture, the food, everything about it. Would have been great to go for the Olympics. But real quick before we end, what's your favorite Summer Olympics event, if you have one?
track and field.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't
Joel,
go wrong with that.
how about yourself?
I always enjoy swimming. I enjoy the swimming events. I know that little world record tracker that they have, like that little line that moves across the pool as they're trying to catch it, almost like a rabbit, like at a dog race or something.
Yeah.
I like swimming events. They're fun.
All right, good stuff so far. So, Joel, let's talk about some of the upcoming VIP events we're going to be doing all over the country, as a matter of fact, as things continue to open back up. I'm very excited about this.
Yep, we have some great things lined up for Q3 and Q4. A lot of VIP golf scrambles, best ball style golf scrambles. The first three that we have on the schedule right now are in Boston, Philadelphia, and Seattle. So August 19th at Ipswich Golf Course in Boston, and then August 24th at North Hills Country Club in the greater Philadelphia area, and then at Newcastle Golf Course on September 17th up there in Seattle. So Boston, Philadelphia, Seattle. Visit tier4advisors.com/events if you'd like to join us. Great opportunity to get out of the office, come network with some peers, play at some phenomenal courses, and have a good time.
If you like golf, if you want to be socially distanced, you want to get out of the house a little bit and enjoy yourself, breathe some fresh air, and play a course that you probably wouldn't normally be able to play on your own, because a lot of these are pretty exclusive tracks. Come on out. Hope to see you there. I will be at all those. Joel, I think you're going to be at some of them. Really looking forward to it. We've had some great events at TPC Scottsdale where they do the Phoenix Open. We played at Gaylord Springs up in Nashville. We played at Atlanta National here in Atlanta. I'm missing one. The Cowboys Club out in Dallas. Some pretty cool events. A lot of great attendees. A lot of your peers, actually, in different cities. So all coming out, doing some networking, shaking hands if they want, otherwise giving some nice fist bumps, gripping it and ripping it, as John Daly says, and having some fun. So looking forward to seeing you. Seattle, Philly, and Boston. We'll catch you there. Anyways, a little bonus coverage for you here at the download. Y'all take care. Thanks so much. See you later.